Welcome, friends and family, to this gathering on behalf of Steve Wilson. My name is Derek Cox, and I'm the stepson of Steve's older brother, Mark. I was blessed to know Steve and share time with him on various visits over the years. His career was driving a truck, but that was not what defined him as a person. He read books and studied to be more informed, was drawn to better himself through physical fitness and regular exercise. Steve was a father, dedicated employee, a best friend, an artist, craftsman, philosopher, and most of all, best brother. Please understand that Steve did not want some kind of somber and melancholy affair regarding his departure as our loss. We are here to be joyful and talk about how Steve enriched the lives of those who knew him, while in a small way, making the world a better place for all. Let me introduce his brother, Mark, who wanted to provide some background for everyone about Steve.
We feel both honored and blessed that each of you chose to attend today. Thank you. I wanted to share our memories of Steve, and I'm going to try to not be emotional, as Steve truly deserves the best that I can do. Steve and I have been together for 1 month shy of 70 years, and here's what I learned over those years. He has little tolerance for sloppy or lazy people, but is very gracious towards anyone that tries hard. Steve is a very generous person and quietly philanthropic, assisting people in charitable causes. He loves little kids and is very proud of his own children, Stephanie, Eric, and Ethan, often describing their tremendous accomplishments, but more important to him, what great people as adults they each have become. Steve is forever curious, interested about many subjects, and is a deep thinker that studies varied topics in great detail. He often produces tremendous insights to things beyond the capacity of an average perspective. I am prone to be a little lazy, but my wife Kathy always tries 100%, and Steve loves that about her, often speaking with high praise about her level of commitment for all of her endeavors. Steve always had a temper. I often introduce my brother Tim as my nice brother. I am the okay brother, and Steve is my mean brother. Grandma Wilson often describes Steve with this accurately descriptive phrase, "Dimple in the chin means the devil within." When someone is demanding of themselves and sometimes crabby, everyone just tends to try harder to please them. Grandma Theo made Steve a bowl of oatmeal when he was 6 years old for breakfast, but Steve had woke up grumpy and was not eating. Granny said, "Steve, is something wrong with your oatmeal? You're not eating." Steve's irritated short reply was, "There's too many oats in it." Our mom's name is Suzanne. When I was 5 and Steve was 4 years old, we could not tie our shoes, so Mom always used a double knot to keep them from becoming untied. One day, Steve and I walked alone to the nearby penny candy store, and as we were each leaving with a small bag of candy, the screen door caught the back of Steve's shoe, removing it from his heel. Steve was left without a way to untie the shoe and fit it back on his foot, and he was highly irritated and embarrassed. The store clerk heard him say, "Damn, Susie," blaming Mom for his circumstance. Yes, I remember, and that is exactly Steve. When Steve was 9 years old, Mom and Dad were taking us camping for the first time ever, and leading up to that weekend, Steve was eager and began reading about proper camping procedures, despite him being too young to fully understand all the words that he read. We arrived at our campsite, and as I was taking in the beautiful scenery, Steve was telling Dad that we first needed to dig what he read about, a latrine, but is actually called a latrine. Steve loves the outdoors, physical fitness, and individual sports such as running, wrestling, hiking, yoga, free fall parachuting, serious cycling, as just 2 years ago he completed the RAGBRAI, which is a 500-mile bicycle ride across Iowa, with cyclists from around the world. All of this accomplished while camping every night in the July heat. He is truly a unique character, and you will not know anyone else that owns their own hang glider. I had to laugh when in Steve's obituary described him as an amateur rocket builder. If you call military-grade production as amateur, I guess then, okay. He's constructed more than 50 such rockets that are genuinely incredible feats of absolute engineering perfection. Some as large as 14 foot long and literally require Federal Aviation Administration FAA clearance to launch due to traveling miles above the Earth. He took a college electronics class to learn how to create intricate systems for ignition, guidance, and recovery by using surgical precision and expensive tiny parts. Perfection is Steve's calling card. He taught himself to precisely cook special meals and bake a variety of high-quality breads. Once he studied what it takes to create truly excellent cocktails. These required top-shelf, expensive ingredients and the proper barware glasses to serve them in. Using high-quality ice reveals attention to detail, elevates cocktails, and the ice lasts longer in your glass. Creating perfectly clear ice, you must remove all the gases and water impurities, and then it requires directional freezing, which takes a painstaking special process. That is Steve Wilson. Our grandmother lived to be 103 years old and taught herself to paint pictures and designs when she was 90 years old. One of her projects was to paint these custom wooden scissor cases for unique and individual gifts. She asked Steve to build the wooden cases, which he did with tremendous care and attention to detail, perfect in every way, for more than 50 editions. Granny would then apply her hand-created artwork to Steve's crafted scissor cases, and a few times when he saw her efforts, he was unimpressed. Rather than be gratuitous by factoring in her age, he was very direct. If he found one that was not up to his standards, he would say, "Sand it off, start over." Steve is by nature a deep thinker that searches for details on both sides of an issue and is often a contrarian. He comes up with very well thought out ideas that Tim and I have often benefited from over the years. Steve does not suffer fools well, yet he has never been an aggressive person or even a rude to anyone. Oftentimes at his job driving truck, a group of drivers were in the employee break room prior to starting their day. One of the drivers had a terrible attitude and would often try to bully and engage with animosity towards the other drivers. This guy would then threaten them physically. Naturally, none of the drivers liked this person. One day he picked on Steve for no reason and began his usual threat of physical harm. Moments later, that man was limping to his truck with a bloody nose, as all the drivers were shocked by this heroic response and applauded Steve. In recent days, as Steve experienced an inability to walk, converse, or even open his eyes, he required significant care to remain at home. Tim and I hired great healthcare providers, and it was so very uplifting to see their complete professionalism, devotion, and genuine compassion towards Steve. One such day, he was not feeling great, and I'd been getting Steve to drink some Gatorade, but he was no longer able to speak and had not opened his eyes for days. Tasia, a terrific home health care provider, maybe Steve's favorite, arrived and came up next to Steve on the other side of the bed, kind of lightly patting him on the chest and cheerfully saying, "Hey Steve, it's Tasia." She was being sweet and comforting by engaging him verbally, but he is an independent guy and hated the need to be taken care of by anybody. Steve's immediate response had us both burst out laughing. He lifted his arms, eyes closed, with a dismissive, "I don't care" hand gesture. Tasia and I both loved it because that was completely Steve. I'm truly grateful for these past few months as we shared the nights and had some serious chats. He always loved hearing of me fulfilling his encouraging ideas. We spoke of past memories and near future plans. He was aware of his circumstance and recognized his increasing inabilities. We candidly talked about having a game plan for moving forward into an unwanted unknown. He said, "Courage and grace." Steve did not ever complain or lament, and every time that I asked him if he felt pain, he always said that he was good. I damn well know that he was suffering, but he is so tough that he would never let pain win. The night that he left us, he had one tear in his left eye. This tear was not for his own feelings, but because he knew that we would hurt. I have a lifetime of lessons and examples from our brother regarding being a terrific person, a person that has love and compassion for others. Here are a couple that come to mind. Those who feel they accomplished something good enough did not fulfill what they should have accomplished. Do not strive or accept mediocrity. You only get one life. Do not live in the gray mediocre zone. Go for excellence in everything that you do. Another time I was lamenting that if God puts upon us only what he knows that we can handle, he must think that I'm the toughest guy to ever live. Steve replied with solemn conviction, "We all get maximum pain. Everyone only knows the worst that has happened to them, and that is their maximum." Finally, Find something that you love and then put your whole heart into it. Study, practice, improve, and refine. Today is not about sadness or pity, but rather sharing a piece of how to become a better person. Today is to be inspiring and uplifting. Memories allow us to use time more than once. As long as the stories and the examples from Steve are not lost or forgotten, he's never really gone. I want you to know how much that Tim and I appreciate everyone here. Thank you sincerely. Courage and grace. We love you, Steve.